Om Jnanatimarandasya Gyanandana Salakya Sakshurunminitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. It's there, it's not there. It worked fine here. And now I forgot my paper also. That's good. So unfortunately I also left the paper which has the title of the seminar upstairs. Who has it? You have it. Okay. Just read it out.
Importance of preaching and sharing our own practices with others.
Okay, importance of preaching and sharing your own practices with others. Yes. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's still not good. I'm so sorry. It's jinxed. This lecture is jinxed. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Shall I do it out? Because no, it's fine. Let's get rid of it because it's. It is mentioned by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami that when one distributes the fruits of love of God, that as we give them away, we'll find that we have more than we had before. And that is very interesting. Usually when we give something away, we find that our stock is depleting. But here, by giving, our stock is increasing. That is a principle in the Sankirtan movement. Therefore, preaching is not only about convincing others and showering mercy on others, but we ourselves, first of all, we ourselves are making very rapid advancement because our stock of spiritual advancement is increasing. And that principle is very important. In this age of Kali, the entire world is in the grip of the lower qualities, such as lust, greed, anger, envy, and so on. And it is very, very difficult to shake off these buses come at 10:30. Okay.
Reschedule, Mark. Reschedule.
I knew they would come at 10:30, and then it's fingers crossed. The last time they didn't come at all. But let me focus, really. So in this preaching, we are benefiting ourselves, and in this age of Kali, everyone is under the influence of lust and other materialistic qualities, and it is very difficult to overcome lust. We can chant, and still we are encountering our material desires. We can hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and our attachment to Krishna increases a little, but also still attached to Maya. It is very difficult to overcome this influence of Maya. In the Madhurya Kadambini, we find some references to the strength of Maya, and it says that in the beginning of devotional service, it is said that when our first speck of faith begins to develop, then our Krishna consciousness is like a pinpoint, localized, and Maya is all-pervading. It says, and then that continues. Even, it says the next stage, sadhu sangha, associating with devotees. Maya is still present everywhere. In bhajana kriya, the regulated process of devotional service, the influence of Maya is very strong, very strong. Practically everywhere, right in our face. Even in anartha nivriti, as we're trying to become purified by the process of devotional service, the influence of Maya remains very strong. It says by the time we come to nistha, then the influence of Maya diminishes a little bit. So Maya is at a little distance now. But nistha is a very advanced platform. It is a platform where we are very much dedicated in our Krishna consciousness. Then there are more advanced stages, and then Maya is still further away, but let us focus on these earlier stages of devotional service. So throughout our spiritual life, there is just this one problem, this one little thing, there's one little bit of sand in the sweet rice. Lust. It's just always there, never really gone, sometimes a little in the background and then popping up its head again. There it is. And if that wasn't there, oh, how blissful would it be? How nice would be our devotional service. So, in preaching, for the sake of preaching, we have to put our own self-interest aside and for the sake of the welfare of others, we have to reach out, and we have to take so many activities. It is mentioned that mindriya priti vancha bolikam krishnendriya priti etchatara premanam, that lust is atmendriya. It is about our own senses. And prem, love of God, is about krishnendriya, about pleasing the senses of Krishna. So that is the thing. So even while we are performing devotional service, due to the influence of Kali, we remain very self-centered, very much so. And even then, if it's spiritual life, then it's my spiritual life. I am chanting. I am, everything is like, always we are the center. I sometimes mention Bhakti Romeo, Bhakti and Juliet with Radha and Krishna as the backdrop. That is, to an extent, our self-centeredness remains and is very deep and very difficult to overcome just by sadhana bhakti. But when we take up this mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then in the cause of preaching, we have to put our material desires on the shelf. We have to put them aside. And for the sake of preaching, we have to tap into everything we have. We have to tap into our determination. We have to tap into enthusiasm. We have to tap into tolerance. We have to tap into every single quality that we have, to the extent that we have. And it takes more than what we have. As we are preaching, we realize that it takes more than what we have, and even with all our effort, with all our energy dedicated to this preaching, still we feel we're falling short. And then what comes is prayer. Then we can only turn to Krishna and pray to Krishna somehow or other. Help me somehow or other. Empower me somehow or other. Work through me, because I can't do anything. So in this way, the preaching effort is basically absorbing everything we have. Everyone knows how difficult attentive chanting is. I sometimes say that when we chant in a kirtan, we can live off the energy of everyone else. And it's a collective thing, and the energy sweeps us up, and sometimes we feel, I'm in bhav. I'm getting very advanced. Even tears start flowing now. Yes, but japa is like a cold shower. It's a reality check. In japa, we realize I have no love at all. I have no attraction for this. I'm somehow or other struggling through this exercise of chanting. And we know how difficult it is to be attentive while chanting. And the mind always finds something else to be absorbed in. And I mentioned the other day, not only inattentive chanting, but everything is inattentive. Are we really here? Sometimes Govindam Adipurusham, what will be for breakfast today? We are there, but the mind is far away. It is not present. So, in this way, we struggle. Inattentive chanting means simply bahusakyahiyanantascha, that our intelligence is many-branched. We are not focused. It's not only Krishna, because we're not convinced that all enjoyment is found with Krishna. We still think there is enjoyment somewhere else. So it is very difficult to chant because we don't have that single focus. We want to just simply focus on pleasing Krishna and chant for his pleasure. Very difficult. Now in preaching, we, like in chanting, we also encounter our own limitations. The Sankirtan leader gave me a serious lecture about being fired up and how I had to be compassionate. And when I was on the street with the books, I did feel compassionate, very much actually. It was summer and all the people were sitting on a terrace, having nice drinks and so on. And I was standing on the street with all these books, and I felt very compassionate for myself. And I was thinking, I wish I was sitting there, instead of standing here. So there also we encounter so many of our shortcomings, our attachments, all the obstacles that we heard about. we really get confronted with them. But yeah, then we are there, so we try. We try. And that takes an effort. And there we need support. It's hard to do it all on our own strength. But with the support of great devotees and of other devotees, we can do. When it comes to preaching, it is not only about propaganda. One can rehearse a little lesson on Krishna consciousness and rattle it off, and that's very nice. But it's not enough, because it's more than what we say. Just like we see with parents and their children. Children don't do what their parents tell them to do. Children do what they see that their parents do. My father gave me a huge lecture about not lying. Then next moment the phone rang, he picks up the phone and he lied. I caught him right there. So then I understood what he really meant. He meant you should lie, but in such a way that it looks as if you don't. That's what I learned from his lecture and from his lying at the call. And I took that to heart. And throughout my life, that has been like really one of my guiding principles. So what to do? We can, in that way, we can appreciate that it's not enough to hear great pep talks and then go out there and preach. It's difficult. It's not only what we say, but we bring our own conviction. It is our faith that we bring with us and that we transfer. It is our own enthusiasm that we have in Krishna consciousness that we bring, and that is what convinces people. It is our dedication that we bring that really convinces people. So when we stand out there preaching, but it's hollow on the inside, there's not much attachment to Krishna. The enthusiasm is to take up devotional service is not so high. Then we can hide, behind a facade. The facade can either be the spiritual outfit and big neck beads and kavacha and extra large and XXL Sika, all kinds of things, right? But at the end of the day, what do we bring with us? Or we can make bridge upon bridge upon bridge upon bridge to reach people, and in the process, as we go over so many bridges to meet people, we might never make it back to the other side where we came from. Will we bring those people back to our side, or are we going over the bridge and staying there? But that is all external. It's about the substance. Therefore, achar, prachar go hand in hand. Behavior and preaching go hand in hand. If we are not ourselves on the cutting edge in devotional service, it is good if we chant 16 rounds. That's on the cutting edge. It is good if we follow four regulated principles. That's on the cutting edge. But then if you sleep the rest of the day, then that's not on the cutting edge. Then there's also devotional service, right, as much as we can in the midst of our life. So to be on the cutting edge really means to make a serious endeavor. That must be there. If we want to have a sense of empowerment. In our current stage, we're in the early phases of Krishna consciousness. We are not liberated souls. Therefore, we are experiencing our own struggles in our spiritual life. And with it, it's like today was a tough day for me. I started, it was late last night, and then I was thinking, I'm not going to put my alarm clock. I'll see what happens. 3:50 on the dot, I woke up. Yeah. Okay. Krishna wants me to get up. So I got up. But I was not so fit. So as I opened the bathroom door, I tried to go through it at the same time, which is not smart. And it smashed into my head, So I was a little groggy in Mongol arti. Came late for the lecture. Everything seems to be. Microphone is in trouble. Whatever it is. Struggles are there. And when the three modes of material nature are bringing difficulties, that's their nature. They come in wave patterns. Sometimes everything is going really well, and sometimes it's not going well at all. Right? And then at that time, when it's tough, then our Krishna consciousness is tested. So preaching is not always easy. It's not that all the people are there waiting for us and saying, "Oh, what are you having there?" Sometimes, but not so often. Most of the time, nah, not interested, and so on. It takes perseverance. It takes perseverance. But in the process of doing so, of making that endeavor, we become tremendously purified. And we find, as Chaitanya Charitamrita says, that we wind up with more realization of Krishna consciousness in our heart than we had before. And we realize we overcome that self-centeredness, my senses, my experience, me, I and mine. It goes down by this preaching. So therefore, I'll have the audacity to say that in this age, that's the only way. It is the only way. If we don't preach, we'll spiritually, we won't really rise above lust. That is the point. Then we may, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Vaishnavas, somehow or other, be there in the association of devotees, even for a lifetime. But lust will also be there, all along. One time, I'll end with a story. One time, I was dreaming, and I was chanting japa, walking past a little stream. And the stream was going a little downhill, so it had some current. Suddenly, there is this green snake. This green snake. It comes and swims up against the current. So I'm looking, and like, what is that, Wow, that's a snake. And it's powerful too. I mean, it's swimming up the current, and it's like fast. And and next, that snake is coming onto the road, and I'm like, whoa, turn around and get out of here, yeah. And then that snake, as it came towards me, suddenly I went up in the air. Yeah? I just went up in the air. But I didn't have any feeling of great relief, which is what you would think. Right? Apparently it's like Swami got mystic powers on the spot and got saved. Right? But that's not what it was. I didn't feel relieved, and as I woke up, I sort of think, what is this all about? Then it dawned upon me. This green snake was the snake of lust. And it was just very powerful and coming up the road. And then in the face of lust, I was too light. I was too light. I didn't have enough spiritual weight. I went up into the air. So Krishna basically told me, you'd better work on that and get more spiritual weight. I'm still on the light side. What to do, still trying to gain weight. Yes, it is, what is that verse now? Anyway, the characteristics of pure devotional service are, in Sanskrit, it is
Shubhada.
klesagni. Yeah, klesagni. The first one is klesagni, and which means it delivers us of all suffering. Then there are others which I will not mention because I want to end. But there is one that is known moksha lagutta krit, right? And basically it is said the benefits of just liberation without devotional service are too light. They're lagu, too light. So yes, we're also too lagu, too light in our spiritual realization. Therefore, in order to preach, one must go deep. Deep in his chanting, deep in reading the Bhagavatam. We can no longer drag our feet. If we really want to preach, we have to be absorbed in the Bhagavatam and in chanting Hare Krishna. And then we'll have the potency, the knowledge, ultimately. Then we'll have some substance. And then over time, that substance will grow and grow.
Okay, go a little longer if you want, Maharaj.
No, it's fine. I'm happy. I don't want to go longer.
Anyone else happy?
Yes.
I want to hear from the devotees,
Okay, one,
Maharaj.
Yes.
I want to hear from all the devotees, Maharaj, and especially the Pandavasena. I learned that from Mother Vishaka, that was smart. I want to hear from the Pandavasena, some responses, and some realizations of that they encounter in their preaching.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for your class. So what I'm understanding is that you're saying that preaching is the only way, and in order to successfully preach, we need to be attentive in our sadhana and in our everyday lives with whatever we do. We need to maintain attention with what we're doing. When I'm going on to the next thing, my head's thinking about that, and I'm not actually present where I am because I'm always thinking about then, preparing for the next thing I need to do, and the next thing, and the next thing, and that's without having any break. So like all week, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's just constant, and because I feel guilty having a break because I feel like I need to put my all into it. But then I'm also noticing that the attention is my attention and my everything's diluted because I'm trying to put my everything into everything.
Okay. Now, did everyone hear?
No.
No. Okay, it was long, so. But, you know, to sort of paraphrase it, summarize it, the point is that she picked up several points of my lecture and emphasized the thing where I spoke about give preaching your everything, because preaching is essential and you should do that. Then she says yes, when she tries to do that, she's already super busy, like throughout the week, got millions of things to do, and then on the weekends, you know, like this preaching, that to do, give everything your all, and it just becomes more than she can handle. Okay, if that was okay, although you use many words. But there was a lot of finesse, you know. I missed some of the finesse. What can I? But the point is, yes, yuktahara viharascha. So there's also yukta vihara, that relaxation must also be part of Krishna consciousness. So in order to preach, one also has to rest, otherwise we can't function. Right? One has to be sure, physically, mentally, emotionally, that we are in a state that works. You can just, you know, not that we make that our main occupation, you know, okay. But some rest is required, otherwise how can we function? So your question then is really a balance question. How to find balance between giving it your everything, but at the same time getting enough rest and so on. So balance really means the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness we are balanced. The lower modes of nature, passion and ignorance, interfere with that balance again and again. Now, the three modes of material nature, they exist outside of us and within us, right? And the modes are happening around us. And inside the modes are also happening. The two don't always correspond. Sometimes outside there's the mode of goodness, and inside there's the mode of passion, and so on. So inside we should, at least internally, we should keep the mode of goodness, and as much as we can, externally also have the mode of goodness, at least that. Then the lower modes, they come and they attack our balance, right? So sometimes from within, sometimes from without. In this way, we struggle to keep our balance, but we have to give that attention, the balance is there. Then there is another way that the balance can be disturbed. The lower modes, they attack from below, but the balance can also be disturbed from above, from the pure spiritual platform. Like we see in Prabhupada's example, we see that he did not exactly live a life which you would expect someone between 70 and 81 to live, right? He was definitely not always considering that, because the need of the preaching situation upset that balance many times. But still, Prabhupada did things to keep a balance. Massage every day, morning walks. So that was there. There was something to spiritually, of course, he was so absorbed, so strong, that he was immediately just on that, always on that spiritual platform. In our case, that's not so. We struggle to be absorbed in Krishna, and therefore we rely more on the mode of goodness than a fully transcendental person. So one also, although we give it our everything, we also have to know our limits. Right? I mean, it's like, I'll come on Harinam today, but I decided that I'm not going to commit suicide on the Harinam, like by trying to be super Swami, because tomorrow I fly to New York and I'm sort of already thinking, well, dear Pandita is saying I love you, but I also love Kadamba Kanana Swami. Going to take care of him today a little bit. There are many stars, and I'm sure someone will. I'm sure a super Swami will be there today. And the Maharaj loves Harinam. He does. He's famous.
We're on the book line right now. Distributing books.
Anyway, somehow or other, I'm sure we'll manage to do a wonderful Harinam. So balance is what we need to keep a balance. Anyone else? Yes.
Maharaj, some devotees feel that they're not ready to share or preach Krishna consciousness because they don't know enough. And sometimes they feel they need to know an X amount of Krishna consciousness in order to actually start preaching or sharing. But we see that in Prabhupada's time, he was sending out devotees who were just fresh and new and true to that. Their knowledge of that.
Some devotees feel that they are not ready to preach because they don't know enough. And they feel you have to first know an X amount and then you can go out. But in Prabhupada's time, it appeared to be different from what we heard. Well, one story that comes to mind is that Hari Suri was Prabhupada's servant, and at one point Hari Suri was it's very hard to be a servant, because when you're a servant you always have to put yourself in the second place and always adjust to the need of someone else. So therefore for your own things there's never space, never time, that's always in the background, and it's just, and being Prabhupada's servant was very involved. So in most of the servants, after some time, there was a little bit of personal agenda that came up. So in Hari Suri's case, he said, I want to preach. Prabhupada didn't want it so much because he didn't want to lose his servant. So Prabhupada said, what will you preach? He says, then he says, you can't preach. Right? He said, only I can preach. Right? So there's truth in that. Yeah? What can we preach? Here we come, So therefore, at one point, Srila Prabhupada started to emphasize book distribution in a big way, because through book distribution, Prabhupada is preaching. Then it's not just us preaching, but then through book distribution, people will have association of the pure devotee and of Krishna in the form of transcendental literature. So yes, one must also be careful not to preach beyond what we know, what we really know. When we don't know, you say, I don't know. But basic preaching is very simple. Little Saraswati is glorified, 4 years old. Who is Krishna? The Supreme Personality of God. Oh, she's preaching very nice. Prabhupada also said, there's a young boy may have never eaten a coconut, but he has heard from his father about coconut. So if you repeat what his father says, then what he says is bona fide. It may still not have the same potency as the one who is the connoisseur of coconuts, but still, realization may be lacking. But the message is the message. So we can preach according to what we know. And but we must be careful not to speculate and start to say things, act that we are greater authorities than we are. Or otherwise, our preaching may have the opposite effect, and then we spoil the message. So, a little bit of preparation is good, also for the individual. The old days, I mean, I had severe jaundice before I came to the temple, before I moved in the temple. 6 months I was out with heavy jaundice. So I came to the temple and I explained to them that I had just been ill with 6 months of jaundice, so that I was still a little bit weak, So they gave me 2 days to rest, and rest meant full service in the temple, right? That was rest. And then on the 3rd day, I was out on book distribution. It was a sink or swim situation, and initially I sank, right? Because on that first day, I was out there in the street. My head was shaved. It was winter. I had some sort of coat, but that wasn't allowed. They'd given me a nylon jacket, which was yellow, black, yellow. And I had this beanie on. So the jacket made me look like a wasp. And I had this hat up to my eyebrows. And my long hair was gone, and I felt very self-conscious. They sent me to some town on the German border, far away, and I'm there, and suddenly, there is the mother of my girlfriend, and in the wrong town, and she goes, and I'm standing there with my books, and she goes, "What are you doing here?" And I was so shocked that she was there, and by this whole outfit that I was wearing, this new identity, that I just said, "Excuse me, but lady, but I never met you in my life." And when you start something stupid like that, you can't get out of it anymore. So I just carried on, and she goes, "I can't believe it. I can't believe it. You don't want to know me." I said, "You really mistake me for someone else." I was destroyed. After that, I was mentally broken, totally broken, and finished, like, oh God. That was the end of my preaching efforts. So this whole sink or swim approach, it was a bit intense. And I think a bit more preparation helps us to survive better, and also helps us to represent Prabhupada better, Krishna consciousness better. So I'm for some preparation, but then you meet someone, and then what you gonna say? Oh, Krishna, temple, oh, so nice. Some prasad. Last story, don't stop. We're standing at a bus stop, we're on the way to this program. There is a junkie coming at us. The junkie says that, hey man, get some money, hey man, get some money. I mean, you know, what's the point, right? You buy some intoxicants, can't give him any money. So I used my India experience, you know, which is like how to deal with beggars. Cold face, never make eye contact, and move the hand. I got rid of the guy within seconds, you know, no problem. Then there was a new devotee with me, who had been a devotee for 2 weeks. He called him back. My luck, you know. He calls him back. He says, wait, I've got something for you. He calls the junkie comes, and he says, open your mouth. And then he pulls this piece of apple out of his bag. It's from breakfast prasadam, it's evening now. It's totally brown, right? He holds it up, and he says, look, prasadam. And with a lot of authority, look, prasadam. He says, open your mouth. I don't know if he did open his mouth, maybe because he was surprised or whatever. And then the bhakta, just very resolute, popped it in that mouth and gave him human birth. Because Prabhupada said, you take Krishna prasadam, you'll get human birth. So in this way, we can advertise. Practice 2 weeks of bhakti yoga and you can give out human birth. Now you know how to do it. Save some apple from breakfast.